you're tuning in for the first time, thank you and welcome. We are culminating our Mental Health Awareness Month videos, even though this channel is dedicated to health and wellness, stress management, and all of those things. We will always be talking about things that can help us with depression, anxiety, and mental health, overall well-being. But with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, I did want to focus on specific things. So if you watched the second or third video, I mentioned Pilates as being one of the amazing tools that you can use to help combat depression and anxiety. And I am so excited to have Miss Felicia Kelley, who is a woman of color and is a certified Pilates instructor. She's going to be talking to us today about the specific benefits of Pilates and on the physical body and the mental, and where you can find her classes and the like. So I hope you enjoy. Hi, Felicia. Thank you so much for being available today.
Of course.
In my second or third video, I talked about using Pilates as a tool to assist with depression and anxiety, your mind being focused on something else. It's good for your body. But of course, I'm not the expert. That's why you are here today. So please tell us in a little more detail why Pilates is so beneficial, not only for our bodies, but for our minds.
Oh, of course. Okay, so Pilates is definitely probably one of the best ways to kind of tackle both physical and mental health, like all in one go. So I have shared this story before, but when I started Pilates, it was only for the physical benefits. Like I was having back pain, and Pilates definitely seemed to be helping with that. But after a few months of practicing Pilates, I realized that I was having like a little shift in my mental, kind of my mental health and my emotional health. And so I started kind of diving deeper into that side of it. And now it's become like one of the main reasons that I still practice Pilates to this day.
How long have you been doing Pilates?
So I have been doing Pilates for 12 years. I've been teaching for 9 years. Yeah, I know. That's a long time because I'm only 21 years old.
Right. So you were on top of it, girl.
I started when I was 9.
Right. Really ahead of the game.
Yeah, so I actually started in college. And I was so lucky. My college, I was a dance major, so we actually got to do Pilates, like private sessions and semi-private sessions, as a kind of part of being in the dance department. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. So a lot of people, like, they would go see, we had a department physical therapist. They would see the physical therapist. She would, assess their injury, see what was wrong with them. And for most people, she would be like, okay, we're going to heal your injury, but you also need to be doing Pilates at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times a week. And so that's kind of what happened with me. So that's how I started.
So that actually brings me to my next question and comment. I know that you attended Loyola Marymount, and it's not necessarily a school with a large population of students of color. So what I have learned in our communities when it comes to yoga and Pilates, we just aren't knowledgeable of what they are anyway at all. And then we don't know what the benefits are. And a lot of our communities are like afraid of yoga because they think that it's like a religion and then the chanting part of it, or they feel that it's like demonic worship or something. And then some of them haven't heard of Pilates at all. I've been in several conversations with women of color when I'm out, and I talked about when I started doing Pilates with you a couple summers ago, how I had the back, that weird pain between my spine and my shoulder blade, and then the hip injury that I was having after I had Malachi. And they were like, what Pilates? What did you say? And I'm like, Pilates?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, girl, I don't know what that is. So they just don't know. They just don't know. And we don't have yoga studios. There's a few, I would say. I know there's one like in LA, and there's probably in more urban, like Chicago, New York, those types of places probably do have 1 or 2. But for the most part, our communities don't have yoga or Pilates studios.
Yeah.
So therefore, our communities are just not informed about, what yoga is and what Pilates is. And a lot of times people are scared of what they don't know, what they don't understand.
Yeah.
So with you being a woman of color that is exposed to Pilates in college at a school that's not predominantly African American, and you got that early on to understand what it is and got the benefits of it, and then you became an instructor. And I think that's super amazing for so many reasons, but mainly for that reason of educating our community on what Pilates is and what it can do for you.
Yeah. So one of the main reasons I decided to become a Pilates instructor was because it changed my life so much. I was like, man, I want to bring this to my community, because I had never really heard of Pilates before I got to school, and I was like, this could help so many people. Like, this could, Black people are always complaining about their back hurting.
True.
I'm like, if this could be a non-invasive way for people to kind of cure or at least alleviate their back pain, I want to be able to provide that to my community. So basically, to answer your question, what Pilates is, it's basically just a method of fitness that was created by this man named Joseph Pilates. It's kind of a mosh of a lot of different things that he studied. So he studied, what did he do? He studied yoga. He was a martial artist. He was a boxer. He worked with acrobats in the circus. And then when he came to America from Germany, he worked with dancers. So whenever you take a Pilates class, you'll see a mix of poses from yoga. You'll see positions that are used in fighting. Like, there's exercises where you're literally punching forward or kicking. And he kind of took the best of all the methods that he studied, and he put them all together, and then somebody decided to call it Pilates. So I know a lot of people think that it's just stretching. That's one comment I get a lot. It's like, oh, it's just stretching, right? And the answer is no. It's not just stretching. So funny. The answer is it's not just stretching, but it's a combination of stretching, mobility work, flexibility work, strengthening. It's a lot of strengthening work, especially with those little muscles that you don't normally work. I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what it is. It's just a different way of working the body, different from like traditional, squats and crunches and push-ups, like stuff that you see at the gym, where in Pilates we do those, but the focus and the attention is a little bit different. So it kind of targets the body in a different way.
Yeah, and then to your point also, I had a friend that goes to the gym every morning, works out, and then does like a little workout in the afternoon. And he was like, I really need to, or if you could help me with like some yoga stretches before I work out and stuff like that. And I was saying to him about Pilates, adding Pilates into his workouts, because it's going to work the muscles in a different way. Because like you said, the focal point is a little different than your traditional lifting weights at a gym or running on a treadmill or whatever. And I feel that if you incorporate Pilates and you're already an athlete and you already have a regimen of a workout, it's less prone to injury when you add the Pilates in there. Because a lot of times people are overexerting muscles, especially I feel like with men, because they're lifting like heavy muscles,
they're doing
heavy muscles, heavy lifting, and they're just one lift away from pulling something and don't even know what's going on.
Exactly, it's so true. That's so funny. I actually, like, if I could just pick and choose clients, my favorite kind of person to work with is somebody that does something else. So like, I love working with people that either they lift weights or they run or they play tennis or they, I don't know, they
or
walk.
a dancer.
Or they're a dancer, yeah. So I love when people have something else that they do, and then they come to Pilates, they're consistent with their Pilates, and then they go back to that other activity, and they're like, wow, I noticed today when I swung my tennis racket, like I was able to go farther or hit harder, or, you know, when I was in ballet class, I was able to lift my leg higher, or when I was on that run, like normally mile 6, I get really winded, but I was able to go. So, I love when people are able to see like, oh, Pilates helps me with this other thing that I love to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's kind of where I am with it. So like I lift weights, I run, I do all that stuff too. But I know that Pilates is what contributes to like my longevity and keeps me getting injured and having pain and all that stuff.
Yeah, and to that point again, I've talked about this with you before, but that the weird pain in my back and the pain in my hip, I was teaching several times a week, and that hip pain was just like persistent. And dancing, you would think is like, oh, it's, you know, it's dancing, it is working out, it's works different groups of muscles obviously differently, but I felt that me teaching was agitating it more, because it got to a point where I had to like drag my leg and I couldn't barely walk, much less teach. So I was kind of just telling them like, okay, just marking it, like, just go like this. Miss Nicole can't lift the right leg because my right leg it doesn't work. Just go like this. You come over here and you demonstrate for Miss Nicole.
Yes.
Her whole leg's broken right now. So
not broken.
it was broke. So when I started doing the Pilates with you consistently, that pretty much went away. So to your point of being an athlete or doing some other type of physical activity and then doing Pilates or adding Pilates in, it strengthens those areas that you're already using anyway for whatever that sport is that you play or whatever. And it definitely helps with injuries. So I want our community to understand what Pilates is and what the benefits of it is, because a lot of us we've been athletes since high school, and some of that stuff is carried over into our adulthood. We're still running or playing basketball, football, whatever. But a lot of us are suffering from an injury from way back. Like almost all of my friends that I can think of that were athletes that are still doing something, they're like, oh, I can barely lift my arm this far to like throw the football, or I play basketball, but I no longer can do this shot because I messed my elbow up or something. Like we're all trying to live through injuries that probably would require surgery normally, but we're kind of just living with it because who's trying to have surgery? So Pilates is a safer, less intrusive way for our body's natural way to heal, like you said, using Pilates as a healing agent. And then the side of that's also awesome is the mental health part of it. Anytime you're doing any type of physical activity, your brain is releasing endorphins that make you feel better. And Pilates is no different, because it's a physical activity. You're exerting energy, you're sweating, you're moving your body, and you are going to feel better. It's just a natural thing that happens.
It's true. And I think I just thought of two things while you're talking. One thing, because Pilates is more of a mind-body technique, like if you think of like Tai Chi or even yoga or something like that, where you're like really focusing on what you're doing, that just brings you into the present moment. And that was one thing that I used to talk to people about all the time, is like when I was in my Pilates class, like I was in my Pilates class. My mind was there and my body was there. Because normally, like, I would go throughout the day and my body would be somewhere, but my brain would be like in outer space. So when I started doing Pilates like 2 times a week, then it became 3 times a week, then it was like almost every day. I was like, oh, my brain and my body are in the same place. That's different. That's cool. Like, I'm being present. Then the second thing I was gonna say is I forgot. So maybe it wasn't important. It'll come back. But I do remember what I was gonna say. I also had just when we were talking about like people being able to do the things that they love. I had one client who only did Pilates, but she had a nephew who was 5 at the time, and she was saying like one day, this is when she first started coming to me. One day she was playing with him. He ran up to her and he like jumped on her and he took her, threw her back out.
Ooh.
She was out for like a couple days.
Oh no.
And she was like, I just wanted to be able to play with my nephew, but because I'm not strong, I can't, you know, he can't even run and jump and hug me without me getting hurt.
Yeah.
So after a couple of like months working with her, she told me like a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks, but a couple of months later, she was at a birthday party and the men were having a push-up competition and she was hanging
out there getting it.
Almost won the push-up competition, you know what I mean? So it's like even the social part of being healthy and being strong is really important because it's like I want to be able to pick my nephew up and swing him around and toss him
and not hurt yourself
and not worry about throwing my back out.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that part of it too.
Yeah.
So many amazing benefits of Pilates. So basically, everybody watching this video need to get their Pilates on.
Yes, get your
my next point.
Yes.
When are your classes and how can they check your schedule and all that kind of good stuff?
Yes, so I teach an online Pilates class Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And you can find me either on Instagram at Fee5FoFum. Nicole will spell that out. And or also you can find me at my website, which is Felicia-Kelley.com, which will also be.
Yes, I will go on and put that in there.
Yes. Okay. So my Instagram is a good place to find me. I'm definitely active on there. And my website is also a good place to find me. And yeah, I also do sometimes post workouts to YouTube. So probably being on my Instagram is the best place for that because I'll just throw them up and post the links when they're up. So yeah, that's how people can find me.
Okay, very cool. And I would say that COVID has brought the people in this industry that teach dance, yogis, Pilates instructors, and the like, has bridged the world.
Really?
Before we were tethered to a studio space or a space of some sort. Tethered to a space.
Yes.
But the challenges with that was, I mean, even with online, you're not going to catch everybody, but you're definitely going to catch, it's spreading a wider net. So you're going to catch more people from different time zones, other countries even can be in your class. So you have all kind of folks in your class that never would be able to take the class because the location is not convenient for their schedule or whatever. I'm sure you've had some experience with that.
Yes. I've had people, well, you know, we live in LA and LA is spread out so wide. So like I teach in a little pocket corner of a county, which is close to the beach. And, you know, I meet people all the time and they're like, oh man, where do you teach? I would love to come take your classes, but it's an hour away. So it's not convenient, you know? So I love that this has kind of brought us online and made us more accessible, especially if there are working moms. They don't have time to drive to the Pilates studio, find someone to take care of their kids, drive back, you know, like there's so much convenience in being able to work out from home. And I think that's kind of what this has taught me. And I definitely now have women in my classes that are in New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, different parts of LA, and we're all able to come together in my little digital Pilates studio twice a week. So that part has been really cool because I have been able to kind of reach a wider network of people and work with a different kind of different population that I normally get to work with. So
that makes
it's maybe more accessible.
Yes. And I think that moving forward, even if and when things return to some form of normalcy, I mean, we'll have to probably social distance for a while. So I think studio classes will be not a thing for a while. But when that becomes an option and we're able to go back into studio spaces, I feel that this model and this platform will still be an amazing tool for people that teach classes like this because of this. It's probably shown a lot of dance teachers and the like that, oh, wow, I can still run the studio classes whenever that time does come for the ones that are local to wherever I am that can come. But for the rest of them who are interested in taking my classes, that have been taking my classes throughout the COVID lockdown, can now continue. So now you've got two working business models that work, then it still works. So if we learn nothing else from this process, we learned a whole new way to do business.
We learned a whole new way to do business. I was even kind of toying with the idea of like, oh, if somebody wants to do Pilates twice a week, maybe they come to the studio one day and then they do their second day at home, or maybe they come to the studio once a month and then they do the rest of the month at home. Like, there's so many different variations and ways that this can work, and this has kind of like opened it up to where I feel like anybody can do Pilates at this point. Like, there's kind of no reason that it shouldn't be available to everybody who wants it.
That is very true. And this is a great way to get it out into our communities without them feeling like, I don't know what this is, I don't know what I'm doing, but you're in the comfort of your own home. You can try it, see how it looks, and like, oh, this is not so bad. I like this. So,
exactly.
I feel like, and obviously wishing the best of luck moving forward. I hope somebody from London and Africa and China and everywhere comes to take your classes, all the time zones.
I would love that.
A conglomerate of students from everywhere. And I'll definitely put all of your information here in the comments so that those watching that want to try Pilates and do a class with you can do that. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
Explaining that to us. I'm excited to see what Pilates can do for our community as you and I partner with you to continue getting the education out to our communities.
Yes. Yay. I appreciate you, and I'm so proud of everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you, friend.
You're welcome, friend.
Check us out. Being all entrepreneurs and grown and stuff.
Okay. So funny. Okay.